Okay, I have Ray Rogers on the line, and he is the director for the Killer Coke campaign in New York City. What's the weather like in New York today, Ray?
Actually, today it's turned very good. It's in the 40s, and it's going to be going into the 50s and 60s. We'd had some cold weather, but now it's turning around.
I noticed that it's kind of jumping here from like warm to cold to warm to cold. It concerns me a little bit.
Well, weather keeps changing. We're going to have to deal with it. Unfortunately, we certainly have problems with very serious environmental concerns and with global warming and all that. But, people who are active out there in social movements and wanting to save the planet, the environment is and the weather is certainly something to be concerned about these days.
Yeah, I think it puts a whole new spin on talking about the weather. Let's talk about Killer Coke. I was just walking around upstairs in the Student Union building here at the University of Victoria, and I'm quite sure that when I was a student here in the 90s, we did not have Coca-Cola on campus. But I see the Coke machines are here again. Why should we be concerned about that, Ray?
Well, let me kind of set the stage and make a couple of comments here. First of all, try to sum up what Coca-Cola is about. I've made this statement publicly many times. If Coke wants to sue me for a libel, go ahead, but truth is a strong defense. The world of Coca-Cola is a world full of lies, deception, immorality, corruption, and widespread labor, human rights, and environmental abuses. And when your listeners think of Coca-Cola, they should think of a company that has inflicted great hardship and despair upon many people and communities throughout the world and has made millions of children sick by aggressively, and I want to underline aggressively, marketing unhealthy products to them. When consumers see Coke ads and displays, they should think of crimes and so unthinkable that all of Coke's products become undrinkable, and that includes all the students and the administrators and the faculty up there at the University of Victoria.
Well, and I know there's a film as well about Killer Coke, and it's actually on Netflix. It's called The Coca-Cola Case, and I would invite people who are subscribed to Netflix to go see it. It's also it's a National Film Board film from a few years back. But now, how did you get involved? Like, how did you begin to open this Pandora's box of what's going on at Coke, Ray?
I had a couple of human rights attorneys, distinguished human rights attorneys, come to me and said, Ray, we have a serious life and death situation. We really need your help, but we don't have any money. Well, I didn't have a lot of money myself either, but after listening to what they told me, it was so unbelievable, yet they were so credible. I said, look, we've got to investigate ourselves and just check on this. And I said, then we'll see if we can't work with you and build a movement from the grassroots up. And as we investigated Coca-Cola around the issues of what they were talking to me about, that the company was involved with paramilitary death squads and involved in the systematic, intimidating, kidnapping, torture, and murder of union leaders in Colombia. I said, I can't believe this because of their union activities. And that Coke was working in collaboration with these paramilitary death squads. So as we began to investigate things, we found out that a very similar situation, well documented, took place in the 70s and 80s in Guatemala. And there was a 9-year campaign against Coca-Cola where, again, a dozen union leaders were murdered, disappeared around these union activities. And right now, there is a lawsuit outstanding in court against Coca-Cola, again in Guatemala, because of murder, attempted murder, and the gang rape of a teenage daughter involving union leaders and the murder of one of the union leaders' sons, I think, and nephews. And again, these are the kind of things in Latin America. A union is important down there. I mean, unions to me are important everywhere to protect workers, but a strong union in places like Guatemala and particularly Colombia can mean the difference between life and death for anybody who stands up to challenge the abuse of authority. And so, we took the campaign on, and I want to make it clear that the campaign to stop Killer Coke is something we created, but it's a worldwide movement that's based on the efforts of thousands of volunteers, each one serving as an important building block. And it's a movement of we's and not I's. And to all your listeners, Janine, we need all the help we can get.
And And okay, well, wow. Now where to go from here? Okay, so I watched a little bit of the movie, and I think it was in Guatemala where they had 8 successive union leaders, or maybe it was Colombia. So the guy would come to the head of the union and then be murdered, and then the next one would be the elected leader, and then he would be murdered. And this happened 8 times, to the point where they actually have a song now that they sing in memory of these leaders. Has the Coca-Cola Corporation been taken to task for this? Have they gone to court? What's happening now?
Yeah, what happened was there's a series of lawsuits. Like I say, there's a lawsuit outstanding right now, and there were lawsuits against Coca-Cola with respect to the murders in Colombia. I might add that the Colombian lawsuits were dismissed by a judge. They never got their day in court. We're hoping the Guatemala lawsuit will one day get its day in court. But the judge that oversaw the cases in Colombia, we asked that he be recused from any cases relating to Coke because of serious conflicts of interest. And also by the judge's behavior in court in looking at these cases, when he would say things like, you'd think I wasn't interested in this case, wouldn't you? And he would describe Isidro Gil. He was one of the murdered union leaders around which one of the lawsuits was filed, and he would call the guy Joe Plo, or whatever his name is. I mean, just disgusting behavior by this Judge Jose Martinez down in Florida, who happens to also be a radio play-by-play sports announcer in Spanish for the University of Miami, and he's also a big fundraiser for the University of Miami Athletics. Well, guess who the University of Miami has an exclusive pouring rights contract is the Coca-Cola Company. And he also came from a law firm down there that was also tied in with Coca-Cola. So it's just these lawsuits, I got to give the lawyers credit that filed them. They put their life at risk with going in and out of Guatemala and the research and everything they do. But the chances of these ever really seeing a day in court is pretty dismal.
Well, Coca-Cola is a pretty big corporation. I remember we used to sort of joke about the Coca-Colonization of the world, but it's not really a joke. There's also concerns, in addition to the labor unions and the murders, there's concern about the environmental implications of Coca-Cola, especially, I think, in India and Mexico, right?
Yes. In fact, when we talk about human rights issues and we talk about kidnapping, torture, murder of union leaders and family members to stop the union activities, water is also a human right. And in India, protests have shut down 2 Coca-Cola plants. There have been daily protests, small and large, going on for years in India because of what Coke has done in terms of overexploiting and polluting scarce water resources, which has created a situation where farmers, don't have water for irrigation. There's the people have to walk for miles to get water for sanitation and drinking water. And Coke was fined, I think it was $48 million some years ago over this activity. And, of course, they will fight this for years and years and years. And again, this is why it's important to have public outrage and public campaign and cutting out Coca-Cola's markets. And one of the most important markets to bring pressure to bear on Coke to cut out is the student market. Not only do they get huge revenues and profits from these contracts on these college and university campuses, but this is also where they build their brand. And what we've done is we've actually gotten Coke kicked out of scores of colleges and universities. Our biggest victory recently was getting Coke banned from the City University of New York, and this loss of this one huge contract, or the contracts they had, plus the fact that they didn't get an exclusive pouring rights contract that they were in the catbird seat to get for the entire university of 18 colleges and 6 institutions. This will cost this company hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue losses, plus loss of brand promotion, which is huge. I should say that the University of Saskatchewan, after some activity and working with our campaign, they got Coke kicked off of their campus. McMaster University. I remember when we made national news up in Canada because we won this non-binding referendum to kick Coke off campus. I know that eventually the students and faculty members that were working got Coke kicked out of an exclusive pouring rights contract. And in the student school, they're in Toronto, a secondary school, kick Coke. And I know we've got a lot of activity in Canada, but we also need a lot more. And at UBC, the University of British Columbia, I'm not sure now what's really taking place up there, but I remember when a lot of people were trying to get Coke kicked off the campus, the university had to give Coke an extra 2 free years of getting no compensation for Coke sold because they didn't meet the quotas of selling Coke over the previous years.
Wow. Whoa. Okay. So this is one way that people can get involved and tell their friends and that sort of thing. Also, it's not just Coke. I mean, Coke is one product, but they now own a lot of other products that some people consider healthy products, right?
Yeah, they consider them healthy, but if you buy them, you're supporting ill health for many, many people around the world because of what Coke is all about, not only in terms of all the unhealthy products and the brutal labor, human rights, and environmental policies, but also Coca-Cola funds all these right-wing organizations and fights legislation for any kind of GMO labeling. They're big supporters of the very conservative right-wing political establishment here in the U.S. and wherever they can get away with this sort of stuff, around the world. The products that one might think are healthy are like Odwalla, Honest Tea. These are owned by Coca-Cola. The water part, Dasani water, we could say Dasani is the phony. So what they do is wherever products pop up that are healthy, they normally try to go in and try to buy them up and control the market. And then you might find that some of these products that at one time just seemed to be so good beginning to get different ingredients in them, just like soy milk. You find some of the soy milk products that companies put out that were good when they're bought up by a big company, they end up putting different ingredients in these products, and you realize that they're not as pure as they one thought them to be. Also, Coca-Cola is, Minute Maid fruit juices. That's Coca-Cola. So we're saying to people, Odwalla, Minute Maid, fruit juices, Honest Tea. There's nothing honest about Honest Tea and Coca-Cola. Please avoid those products.
And I don't think that they have to indicate on those products that they're a subsidiary of Coca-Cola. So the only way that you would know is there must be a website, or it's probably on your website, what all these products are.
Yes, you can go to Coca-Cola website, and you can go to our website, and you can find, all the Coca-Cola products. And we're talking about, they're tied into thousands of products, okay? And, some of the major products, too, in terms of the soft drinks that make everybody so unhealthy, in case they may not be familiar, but Fanta, all the Coca-Cola products. By the way, the Coca-Cola products, the sugary products, which are very damaging and that they aggressively market to kids, but even more damaging for the health of people probably are the diet products because of the aspartame and other chemical ingredients and artificial sweeteners that are in these things that seem to be linked to every major disease or problem that people can get health-wise. So, by the way, also sports drink for people to know that Powerade, that's Coca-Cola. Sprite is Coca-Cola. Fanta was created in Nazi Germany so that Coca-Cola could hold on to the market during the Third Reich and Hitler regime. They thought they wouldn't be able to get Coke syrup, so they created Fanta so that they could hold on to a market there.
Well, quite frankly, Ray, I don't see the attraction. I'm grateful to my parents for never allowing me sugary drinks, and so I never became addicted, but people do become addicted, and I think that's been their intention all along. There was a myth in the early days that they actually added cocaine. Is that true, and what is it that makes this product so addictive?
Well, first of all, back when it began Coke, yes, there was some cocaine in the Coca-Cola, and in fact, even to this day, cocoa leaves are only allowed to be imported into the U.S. for two reasons. for medicinal purposes and for the Coca-Cola company.
No.
Okay?
Oh, my God.
And there was a film that aired on primetime national TV in France in this past January, where they had me go down to the docks where these cocoa leaves are being brought in and out to the company that is actually, using them for medicinal purposes. But the other cocoa leaves go to Coca-Cola. Now, are they turning that into cocaine and sticking it in Coke? No, I'm not saying that. But they're using those cocoa leaves for flavoring or whatever, for whatever reason. The fact of the matter is that cocoa leaves are only allowed for two reasons to be imported into this country, and Coca-Cola is one of those two reasons. And I don't understand why, except for the political clout of this company. Now, what they do in their products these days is they have these, certainly these high sugar content, high fructose corn syrup, or sugar, depending upon where the Coke is produced. They have a lot of caffeine in the products, and whatever chemicals and other things they can throw in there, they will. They don't care about people's health. They just want to create a flavor or ingredients that will addict people to their product. But I'll tell you what's also very addictive is they spend more than $3 billion a year on advertising, much of it false advertising. For example, vitamin water. That's another Coke product. And Coke had lawsuits filed against them for false advertising that vitamin water is healthy, when in fact it was full of sugar and it didn't have that much vitamins in it. And a Coca-Cola attorney came out in court and says, well, you don't think the public really believes that vitamin water is healthy? I mean, this is their own attorney saying something like that,
Oh, dear.
Pretty amazing.
No kidding.
But let me just say, Janine, your listening audience up there where you are, I really, if I can make an appeal to those at the University of Victoria, students, faculty members, administrators, please feel free to contact me directly, info@killercoke.org. They can call me at 718-852-2808. Please work with us to get Coca-Cola off your campus. Your campus does not want to be associated with a corporate criminal and what this company is all about.
Well, let's hope somebody from the Student Society is listening, because really, I'm sure we had won this battle, but I was surprised because, like I say, I don't buy the stuff, so I was surprised to notice it there again today. Okay, we've just got a couple more minutes, Ray. I'm wondering, I'm just curious about your background. Are you a lawyer?
No, as a matter of fact, I try to stay away from as many lawyers as I can. I'm an organizer and a strategist. I have an organization called Corporate Campaign, Inc. It's the website is corporatecampaign.org. If you go to the campaign section, you can see many of the campaigns that we've been involved in, very successful campaigns supporting workers and the unions. We also were very much involved years ago in working with the Alaska Wilderness League to keep the oil companies out of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. And we're also very instrumental in saving Pacifica Radio Network, which is the largest free speech non-commercial network in this country from a corporate takeover.
Wow. Well, thank you for all of that. And you did also mention to me in an email that you're almost vegan. I'm just curious if you want to share a reason for that.
Well, I'll tell you, I wish I never grown up ever had a hamburger. First of all, I don't believe in the slaughtering of animals, and when we talk about if there's any such thing as humane slaughtering, these animals, cows, pigs, by the way, which are more intelligent than dogs, the treatment of these animals, chickens, the treatment of these animals in these big commercial corporate food processing outfits, like whether it be Hormel or it be Conagra or whatever, it's disgusting, and it's not humane, it's inhumane. And I said, look, I don't want any part of this system. And so, as I said, I'm 99.9% vegan. There's a local farmer that I might buy a dozen of eggs where the chickens aren't caged. They're free-running. They're organic. And I do have honey from time to time, which I never thought of that. But if you're a total vegan, you can't have honey either.
Yeah, vegans don't. But well, thank you so much for all of what you're doing, Ray. You're an incredible guy. The website is killercoke.org. And you're also featured in the film, The Coca-Cola Case, which I think is 2 or 3 years old now, isn't it?
Yeah, it came out in 2010. Coke threatened legal action if it wasn't censored. Nobody backed down. The film was still playing to audiences around the world, done by the National Film Board of Canada and Herman Gutierrez and Carmen Garcia. And again, Coke threatened legal action against the National Film Board, Cinema Politica, which is a grassroots film collective that came out of the University of Concordia in Montreal, and also threatened the International Human Rights Film Festival in Paris, France, if they kicked the film festival off in March of 2010. Nobody backed down. The film is still showing because truth is a strong defense.
Right on. Okay. Thank you so much, Ray. Have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you again sometime, all right?
Thanks so much. I look forward to it, Janine.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.